Hi friends. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me find a place to get this set up. Get some extra lights on too. Y'all, it has been a month since the birth of our son. He's a month old already. He's in there snoozing away. He's so cute. I love him so much. Oh, sorry, Bubs. Covering your face. Alright, so I know I tried to sit down a couple days ago. Actually, I don't even know. I say a couple days. It's probably been weeks at this point. Who knows? To film this video, but it never happened. So I figured, why not do it now when I have clothes on? Because when I tell you I live my life in just my drawers, I mean it. Like, I constantly just have my boobs out. I rarely have a shirt on. I literally just walk around the house in underwear, like, at this point. In the first few weeks it was a diaper, but now it's I've grown out of diapers. I'm a big girl now. I wear panties. And yeah, so that's my life. So I feel like, one, I haven't really been vlogging much because okay, I think I haven't really been vlogging much because one, we all know I suck at vlogging. Two, it's just crazy with a newborn baby around these parts. And okay, it's not that crazy. I feel like I'm being dramatic. It's really not that crazy, but it's just different, you know, adjusting to being a mom now. And then three, like I said, I'm just naked all the time, so vlogging is not on the forefront of my mind when I have full-fledged titties out 90% of my day. So yeah, I figured I got clothes on. The baby's asleep right now. Let me get this vlog out that I've been wanting to film for like since the day he was born, pretty much. All right, so what do you call rewind back to the day that my water broke. I know I vlogged at the hospital and things, but I don't know what all I did vlog. I haven't looked at any of that footage yet, so I just want to just tell the story from beginning to end, and as its own, just, you know, labor and delivery story video. And then whatever I vlog will just be my labor vlog, I guess. A whole separate entity, separate thing. All right, so I started feeling, well, I didn't know at the time were contractions, but at the time I was like, oh, I feel crampy, like, you know. I want to say it was probably on, I think, Thursday, the Thursday before my water broke and everything. So on that Thursday is kind of when I started feeling a bit crampy and things like this. Friday, I want to say, like, the cramping definitely had like intensified a bit. And like I said, at the time I was just like, oh, like, I'm crampy, like these are probably just like Braxton Hicks, because one, they weren't that strong, and two, I was expecting something different, like when it came to contractions. I don't know why, or because, I mean, I've never been pregnant before, obviously, and I've never, you know, went into labor before or anything like this, so I don't know what to expect contractions to feel like. But in my mind, I thought they were gonna be like more like something that, like, my whole tummy, like, you know, like, or I kept seeing online, like, oh, like contractions, like you'll feel it in your back, like, and things like this. So like I wasn't feeling any labor or contractions or any sort of pain in my back or anything. And like I said, the contractions themselves, well, what I was feeling just literally just felt like period cramps, like, just, yeah, it just felt like shitty period cramps, like a little bit more intense than a period cramp. For me personally, I know everyone's different. Some people have really shitty cramps, some people have mild cramps. For me, I felt like what I was experiencing were like a little bit more intense than what my typical period cramps felt like, but they just felt like period cramps nonetheless. So that was Friday. And then Saturday, yeah, like I was still having these cramps and everything on Saturday. And before we went to bed that night, Kyle was like, oh, because I had diapers and everything ready for, you know, all the postpartum gloriness. So he was like, Kyle jokingly was like, oh, like, you should put on a diaper just in case your water breaks tonight. And I'm like, nah, yeah, whatever. And I was like, actually, you know what, maybe I will. So I did put one on before we went to bed on Saturday night. So Sunday morning at 3:30 a.m., roughly around 3:30 a.m., is when I was sleeping and I was having these, you know, cramps that I was feeling while I was asleep, and it kind of woke me up. And I was kind of like, you know, trying to breathe through them, like, ooh, owie, owie, like, this, like, ooh. And they were like they were definitely like intensified at this point. Like they were worse than what I was feeling the previous days. And then, so I was laying there in bed and I was, like I said, experiencing these cramps. And then I felt this weird like pop. Like something felt weird. It felt like, I was like, what that, like that was really strange. Like my first thought was like, did the baby just like hit his head on like my pelvis bone or something? Like, did he just like drop in? Like I thought maybe he had like dropped lower into like my pelvis or something. Like maybe like that feeling I felt was like him like hitting a bone or something. Like I don't know, it was weird. So I laid there for a little bit. I was like, that was a really weird feeling. Like I don't know what that was. And so then after a couple minutes, I don't know if it was a minute, maybe like a minute or so, I laid there kind of like, what the hell was that? That felt so strange. And so I was like, well, let me get up and go pee because I have to pee now. So I stood up and started walking to the bathroom, and I felt like something was like slightly like trickling a little bit, but not like anything crazy. It was just like a slight, like I felt like maybe something was trickling out. Like, you know, like kind of like how it feels like when you know, discharge, like comes out your cooch. Like it's kind of like similar to that feeling. And so I went to the bathroom and then I sat down to go to the toilet. I sat down on the toilet and I started peeing, but like I could feel something else was like happening. I was like, okay, like I'm not just peeing. Like this is not just pee coming out. I can feel a sensation, like not just in my urethra, but like, you know, where the pee comes out, but like something's weird, something's gushy, right? So after I finished peeing, like I stood up to look in the toilet and I could see like there was something in the toilet that just wasn't pee, right? It was looking like, it was like kind of cloudy, had a little slight like brownish tint to it, like a tannish tint, like it wasn't too dark. It was just like a yellowish brownish color, which might have just been my pee mixed in with maybe some like old blood, like whatever. But anyway, I could tell like there was definitely something going on that was not just pee in the toilet. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, did my water just break? Like, is that what that pop was? So I woke Kyle up and I was like, babe, like I think my water just broke. And he was like, so he came and looked in the toilet and he was like, yeah, maybe. And I'm like, what do I do now? Like, so I've just seen like on the internet where they're like, oh, like if your water breaks, call the hospital and like, you know, call your nurse, call whatever, call someone and see like what they want you to do next. So my plans, my birth plan, I wanted to labor at home for as long as possible and only go to the hospital once like I felt like active labor was like it was really kicking in, like we were dilated, like things were moving, like I may or may not have a baby within the next like hour or two. Like that was my plans. I wanted to be at home. I wanted to be in my own space and labor as long as possible as I could at the house. So I called the nurse, or you know, the nurse's desk or whatever at the maternity unit, and just to see what I'm supposed to do. And so I'd asked her, I was like, oh, like, you know, I think my water broke, blah blah blah. And she was like, oh, okay, well, you know, you can come on in. And I was like, oh, okay. So then we hung up, and then I told my husband, I was like, she's like, we can come in. I was like, but I don't want to, like, this is not my plan, like I want to be at home. And so I called her back and I was like, I said, hi, I just called you like a minute ago, but I was wondering, do I have to come in, or like can I stay at home? Because my plan was to like labor home as long as I could before coming in. And then she was kind of like, well, I can't tell you that I can't tell you that I can't remember her. Basically she was saying she can't say that like that I didn't have to come in. Basically she was trying to say without saying, like, do what you want to do. I can't tell you otherwise. She has to tell me this, and what I decide to do is up to me, basically, is what she's like. I can't remember the exact words, the brain's not bringing right now, but you get the gist, I'm sure. So I was kind of like, okay. And then she was like, well, what color was the water. And then that's what I told her, and then she's like, oh no, you need to come in because that could be meconium, which is like the first like babies poo out. So she was worried that baby had pooped in my belly, and apparently that can like lead to infection and all type of things. So she was like, no, you need to come in because that could be meconium. Yeah, sorry about it. And I was like, okay. So we got everything ready and we packed up the car and everything, and we head to the hospital. And I was so excited. I was like, because I've been waiting, like I'm ready to see what birth is about. Like, I've been excited. I'd been excited about giving birth. Like, I think most people are like scared about like going into labor and things like this, but I was like looking forward to it because I was just so curious. Like, I want to know what it's gonna be like. Like, I want to know what I'm gonna feel. Like, is it gonna be like as awful and terrible as like everyone, like, you know, the movies and everyone like else depicts it to be? Like, I was stoked for it. I was ready. I was so excited to experience birth and labor and everything. So anyway, we got to the hospital. We had to go into the emergency room entrance because time, like, it's in the middle of the night. So obviously the main entrance is open, so we had to go through the ER. And they went and they called like the labor and delivery people to come grab me. They wheeled me back to the maternity unit or whatever. And we got checked in and everything. And everything was all good. It was Gucci. Like, it's like 4:30, 4:45 at this point, I think, in the morning. I'm getting all hooked up to like IVs and everything. And they came in, had the phlebotomist come in. He was so nice. He like took my blood and everything. And the nurse that had, you know, brought me in was like, she was really nice. And yeah, it was a lovely time. So yeah, we were cool. We were hooked up. We were in there. We were chilling. We were vibing. And I'm like, all right, cool. So my plan was to go unmedicated. I didn't want any intervention, like low intervention, like unless like something's wrong, me and my baby are dying, like then you guys can intervene. But until then, like, hands off, don't touch me. Like, that was my plan. I wanted to go all natural. So she gave me an IV, which I didn't really originally want, but because I felt like when they hook up the IV, right, like you're hooked up, so that's the gateway to like everything else that they're gonna want to pressure you into getting, like, you know, other drugs and whatnot. So I didn't want an IV, but apparently I had to get one, which was probably a good thing because I was dehydrated, so the IV was helpful. So at first I just had an IV, and then they put the monitors on to monitor me and baby, like our heart rates and everything or whatever, and like the contractions and stuff. And yeah, at this point I was feeling good. Like I said, I was excited, I was stoked, I was in a great mood. Like at first I had to get like the regular monitor, like where I couldn't like get out of bed or anything. And then once, I don't know how much time passed, but eventually they hooked me up on like a wireless one because I wanted to get up, I wanted to walk around, I wanted to have freedom, because moving and walking and things like that are gonna help progress, you know, get labor going. So I wanted to still have the ability to move and things like that. So eventually at some point in time, they came in and hooked me up on a wireless one. I think maybe it was after a shift change or something, which was around probably about 7. I think is when the shift change happened. The night nurses and the day nurses switch out. So the first lady who checked us in, I think her name was Lawana or something. She left for the day and didn't see her again. Then the next nurse that came in, her name was Megan, and she was awesome. I loved her. So Megan came in, she started taking care of me. Yeah, so we got hooked up and everything, and like I said, I was moving and grooving, we were walking, contractions were contractioning. And for whatever reason, when I first got in, I was 2 centimeters dilated. So Lawana, I believe, like I said, I think her name was Lawana. Anyway, she did my cervical exam when I first got in, and I was 2 centimeters dilated. And then, yeah, so that was that. And then for whatever reason, I was put on a liquid diet. I don't know why they put me on a liquid diet, but they did. So I was only able to order like Jello or ice like ice pop like kind of things, and like chicken and beef broth and juice. That was all I could eat. So when breakfast came around, Kyle, you know, called down to the nutrition, took the cafeteria, whatever, and ordered breakfast. So that's what I had for breakfast. I had just some broth and Jello. I literally ordered everything I could order. I ordered like one of each, everything. So yeah, and then fast forward to lunchtime. Kyle had ordered lunch, and when he had ordered lunch, they had asked him like, oh, is she still on a liquid diet or whatever? And he was like, yeah, can she not be? And then they were like, oh, like, you know, it depends on the doctor, like they have to put it in. If it's put in, then yeah, she can order like, you know, food, but until then, like, we can only serve her liquid foods or whatever. So we were like, okay. So we'd asked like the nurse, so at this point Megan had left for the day. She left early that day, so I had got a different nurse. Her name was Katrina, I believe. So I don't know why Megan went home early that day, but she went home early that day. Maybe because it was Easter, maybe she wanted to be at home with her, because she had a baby herself. She had like if I remember correctly, her baby was like 1 year old or something, so it's like her baby's like first Easter. And so I don't know if maybe she wanted to be home for her baby's first Easter or something. I have no idea, but for whatever reason, she had left early that day. And so Katrina had taken over for her. And so we'd asked the nurse, Katrina, we were like, can she be not on a liquid diet? Like, why is she even on? Like, we were never even told why I was put on a liquid diet from the jump, but or whatever. So yeah, anyway, so Katrina was like, oh, well, in order, because I think I'd been at this point, like I said, I got checked. I had a cervical check when I first came in, and then I think later on they'd asked me, a couple hours later, they had asked me if I wanted a check, and I was like, no, thanks, because I wanted minimum checks, because one, they are extremely uncomfortable, like they hurt. I don't like them at all, and you know, they can cause infection. So I was just like, I want to avoid them as much. Like, I want them only done like when absolutely necessary. Like, don't just be checking my cervix every hour just because we want to see how far I'm dilated. Like, it's fine, we'll figure it out, you know. We'll figure it out as we go along. But yeah, so I think she'd asked me at some point, like before this lunchtime, if I wanted my cervix checked, and I was like, no thanks. I don't want any cervical checks, period, unless we need them. So when lunchtime came and we were inquiring about my food, she was like, oh, if we check your cervix and you're not too far along, like dilated. Oh, hello, puppies. Why are you sad? So basically, she was like, we need to check your cervix, and that way we can make sure that, you know, you're not too far dilated or anything, or just in case we have to end up having to do a emergency C-section or anything like this. So I'm like, I just gotta get fisted for, like, so I can get a cheeseburger. Like, I just gotta agree to just get fisted one good time. Like, oh, that's all y'all had to say, because, you know, I'm a big back. That was motivation for me to get up on that table and spread the legs open so she can get up in there and check my cervix so I can get some food. So she checked, and oh my goodness, that girl was the worst examination I've ever had in my entire life. Granted, at this point, this is only the third time I've ever had my cervix examined like this. One time was during like an OB appointment, like weeks and weeks before I was even in labor. I want to say like week 32. Yeah, that sounds too early. Maybe week like 36-ish. Maybe I had one done, and it was uncomfy, and I was like, yikes, I don't like that. Maybe it was like week 38. What did I say? Week 38? I don't know. Anyway, it was week 30 something, I think. Definitely before week 40. And I was like, yeah, that sucks. So I was curious, so I agreed to it that time. And then obviously I had to get one when I got admitted, just to see where we're starting at. And so the second one, when Luana did it, the day we went into labor, like, she was gentle and it didn't really hurt that badly. Like, she didn't get deep up in there. She didn't do nothing crazy. Like, she was cool with it. She was chill with it. And I was like, okay, cool. This girl on this third time I've got an examination. First of all, she had freaking like acrylic nails on or something. I don't know. She had some nails on, so her nails are long. And so even when she went in, I could feel like the tip of her fingernails like rub against like my coochie hole opening. Like I could feel it like kind of catch on as she was going in. And so she's in there and she's in there like digging like I was a goddamn turkey on Thanksgiving trying to get the damn gizzards and whatnot out. Like, or maybe she's trying to stuff me out, like stuffing me like a turkey on things. Either way, she was in there and she was digging and it hurt so bad. And only for her to finish and be like, oh, you're still about 2 centimeters dilated. So I'm like, great, love that for me. At least I get a cheeseburger after this. But by the time we ordered the cheeseburger and I came up to the room, like I took one bite of it and I just felt icky. I didn't feel good anymore. So that exam like really just hurt and just made me feel like I started feeling kind of nauseous afterwards. Like I was feeling a bit sick. And like I said, I just did not feel good at all after getting that exam done. So that kind of ruined the vibes. I was chilling. I was in a great mood up until this point. So that kind of ruined the vibes for me for a while. I feel like after that is when my contractions started like intensifying a bit, and yeah, and like I said, my mood just kind of was on a decline. I was just feeling icky. I just didn't feel good anymore, feel that great anymore. And so I feel like that's probably the beginning of the downfall of my experience. That happened and I got my burger. Yes, I got my burger, I ate a bite. I was like, oh, this sucks. And yeah, still was able to like move around and things like that. We're still like on the birthing ball, bouncing on the birthing ball, walking around and just trying to keep moving, trying to keep positive, trying to keep the vibes good, trying to get my baby out. So fast forward, after a couple of hours, I had gotten up, got to the bathroom, and like while I was in the bathroom, I started just contemplating like, oh my god, like these contractions are really sucking, like I don't feel good, like, and I was just really like starting to like kind of succumb to this isn't negative, the negativity, the negative vibes were definitely sinking in at this point. And so I was like, okay, well, you know, maybe if I just get a little bit of drugs, just a little bit, you know, just take the edge off a little bit, this won't be so bad anymore and I can go back to my good vibes that I was having. So this had to have been probably about like maybe around like 6 o'clock. It had to be, I think. Oh, actually, I don't know what time the nighttime nurses come. Assuming they work 12-hour shifts or something. I'm assuming they work like, because if they came in at 7, I'm gonna assume they leave at 7. I have no idea if that's correct information or not, but that's my assumption. That's what I'm gonna go with. So I'm gonna guess that maybe around 6 p.m. ish, I was like, hey yo, can I get some drugs? And she was like, yeah. You want an epidural or like, and I'm like, no, and I'm not going for epidural. I just want some IV drugs. Like, hit me with the little, I forget what the options were. They have fentanyl and something else. I can't remember what the other like pain medicine was. One of them, I remember they said that whatever the one I can't remember is, that one they said affects the baby a little bit more, makes the baby like more sleepy than the fentanyl does. So I decided to go with the fentanyl because I didn't want to make baby sleepy, because obviously I feel like that would slow labor down if he's not in there actively, you know, working with the contractions and whatnot. So I chose to go with the fentanyl, and so she was like, okay, well, we have to check your cervix before we give it to you because we can't give it if you're dilated, you know, past a certain point, then I think she said, I want to say 5 or 6 centimeters maybe, she said. If you're dilated past this point, then we can't give it to you because you're getting closer, you know, to giving birth, and we can't give you drugs because then it'll affect the baby and things like this, while you're like, you know, trying to birth them or whatever, something like this. So I was like, okay, cool. So I thought about it for a while, and because I really didn't want to get this exam done again, but I decided, okay, well, you know, maybe it'll be worth it, to get some drugs, to get a little pain knocked off. They're snoring. And so anyway, so I decided to go ahead and get the Fenty. And so again, Miss Katrina gave me an examination, and this time I feel like it was worse than the first time she did it. Once again, she was just in there. Apparently my cervix is tilted backwards or something, so I feel like it was hard. They were having a hard time to locate and like get into my cervix because the way it's facing towards my back. So that might have been part of why these exams were so rough and so uncomfortable for me. I don't know if that's the case for everybody, but for me, these freaking sucked. Like, they were awful. Anyway, especially hers. Oh, God. Anyway, so she did it. Well, so before, but I remember Kyle asked her, okay, if we do this, like, if we do the fentanyl or whatever, the pain meds, like, is it just like, should get checked one time? Like, because the dosage, like, you can get a new dose of it like every hour or whatever, because it's how long it lasts, something like this. So she was like, oh yeah, like, it's just one time. So we're like, okay. So that's probably the reason why we agreed to do it, because I was under the impression that I was only gonna have to get checked one time. So anyway, she does a check. She's like, she didn't say how far I was dilated. She just went and, you know, got me hooked up on the meds. And so I turned to Kyle. I was like, I must not be that far dilated because, well, obviously I know I'm less than 5 or 6. But I feel like it must not be that much because she didn't tell me. She didn't say what it was, right? So anyway, I got my drugs, and honestly, it didn't really do much. Like, it took my pain, I don't remember what my pain was at the time, but let's just say my pain was at a 5. It took it to a 4, like 4.5 maybe. Like, it really didn't do very much at all. So yeah, so after maybe like an hour and a half-ish, the nurses had changed. I got the nighttime nurse had came in, who happened to be the sister of Katrina. Her name is, I think, Melissa or something, or Melinda or something. I'm gonna go with Melissa. So Melissa came in, and eventually I was like, can I get a redose of this medicine because it's worn off? And yeah, and she was like, oh yeah, we'll have to do an exam to give me more. And I was like, interesting, because that's not what your sister has said. Your sister said the opposite. So she was like, oh yeah, no, we have to do an exam, like, again, just to make sure you're not dilated too far, blah blah blah. And I was like, well, never mind, because I'm not doing that again, like, and it's not even worth it. So at this point, I've gotten bamboozled into 2 cervical exams, and then not be worth it at the end, because the first one ruined my burger, ruined my appetite, ruined my vibes, just for me to have a bite of burger. And then the second one was for some fentanyl that barely worked. Anyway, so I was pretty, at this point I was like irritated and like super annoyed about the situation. So I was like, okay, whatever, like, I'll just keep enduring these contractions, it's fine. And then we were like, oh, we need to order dinner soon because the cafeteria was gonna close or whatever. So I just ordered like a grilled cheese because, again, her exam made me not feel that great, and I could, like I said, I feel like it just intensified and made my contractions feel worse than they already were, and I just didn't feel good, and I just felt icky. So I just ordered a grilled cheese sandwich from the cafeteria because I just didn't want to get anything heavy, but I didn't want to not eat, just in case, you know, I just went into labor and needed some energy for pushing a baby out. So I just got a grilled cheese sandwich, and that's pretty much it for dinner. And I ate that, and then I want to say fast forward to like 9 p.m. ish, 9:30 maybe 10. I was in the bathroom again, and I was just having a really hard time and just not feeling good. And like I said, the vibes, all the good vibes were gone at this point. Like I could feel myself getting to a point where I was beginning, or I could see myself beginning to feel miserable soon. I wasn't feeling miserable yet, but I could foresee misery coming. And I did not want that to be my story. I did not want that to be my experience. I did not want to look back and think about my labor and bringing my son into the world as something that was miserable, and something that I did not enjoy. So I sat with it for a while. I was in the bathroom thinking and contemplated, and I was like, maybe it might be time to get an epidural. Because like I said, I didn't want to be miserable. And so I came out of the bathroom and I talked to Kyle about it, and I was really upset about it. And I was really disappointed. Like, I don't know why I'm getting emotional thinking about it again, but I don't know. I just really wanted to try and do it with, you know, unmedicated and everything. So I was feeling really like I guess defeated at this point, and just disappointed in myself. Then I felt like I was giving up, and I cried about it, you know, then too. And, you know, Kyle reassured me, like, it's fine, like, you're okay, like, you've gone, at this point, I think it had been 16 hours since we were admitted into the hospital, and, like, you've, like, gone for, like, 16 hours, like, without any medicine, like, you've done a good job, like, and at this point, like I said, it's, like, late at night, right? We've been there since 3:30 in the morning. And I was tired, and I was just, like I said, this is like, things were going downhill for me. And so, yeah, anyway, decided to do the epidural. And Kyle, you know, reassured me that I was okay, and that it wasn't like a failure, and that, like, you know, whatever. And so I told Melissa, I was like, can we get an epidural? And she was like, yes. But did I have to get a cervical exam again to get the epidural? I feel like I did. I feel like I did. I think I had to get an exam again before they could give me the epidural. I think. Or maybe not. I'm not sure. I can't remember if I had to get, I know I had one that night. Because I know Melissa gave me one at some point. But I don't remember if it was before the epidural or if it was after the epidural. But anyway, I decided to ask for an epidural, and she was like, all right, like, I'll get the anesthesiologist down to, like, get that started for you. And she came back after a couple minutes and was like, oh, like, he's currently in a situation, so it might be an hour and a half, 2 hours before he can get to you. So I was like, great, love that for me. So I had to wait it out for a while. I want to say around midnight maybe is when he was able to make it to my room. And so I got the epidural. It was okay. It was it hurt a little bit. It wasn't as painful as I thought it was gonna be. It did hurt a little bit though. Like at some points he was having a hard time I don't know what they'd be doing. I literally don't know what it is they do, but whatever the procedure is, all that crunching and munching up your spine, he kept like doing whatever he was doing and was like, oh, like, do you feel this, do you feel this, like, do you feel this on your left or on your right side? And I kept feeling everything on my right side, and he was like, okay, and like I kept feeling whatever he was doing, kept feeling on my right. I guess I don't know, but he was like, at some point during the time I'm trying to do this epidural, he was like, have you ever been diagnosed with scoliosis? I was like, no. So I don't know, I guess my spine has some curvature to it. Maybe I need to get that looked at. I have no idea, but he was like, whatever he was doing, he was struggling because apparently my spine was not straight. So eventually he got it in. Epidural was done, and your girl's was numb from the freaking rib cage down. Could not feel my tummy at all, which I thought was interesting. I don't know, I guess I don't know where I thought an epidural like was gonna affect you at, but I guess I didn't expect it to also like numb my whole stomach. So that felt really weird. The whole epidural thing, like the since it, like you could still feel, but like you couldn't feel at the same time. Like everything, the whole bottom half of my body just felt heavy. It just felt like I was just lugging around just sacks of sand or something. I don't know. It was very strange. My belly felt so strange. It was a very weird sensation, but yeah. So some point in time after midnight, we were all epiduraled up, and it was like, I guess it was just time to go to bed. Like, let's just go to sleep because we ain't got nothing else to do. It's midnight. It's like it's night again. It's nighttime again. So yeah, like I said, she either gave me a check before or after the epidural. I can't remember when it was, but at this point, she also didn't say how many centimeters I was dilated either. So I was guessing, okay, it must not be very far. Fast forward, so throughout the night, it was worst sleep of my life. One, because she had to keep coming in and adjusting the fetal monitors or whatever, because they kept losing the baby on the monitors, which I feel like she probably came in like there, like, I don't even know how often, but several times. I have no idea how many times she came in to fix the monitor, and then like I would have to like move, and obviously like my legs are numb, so I can't like move that well on my own. It was so uncomfortable just sitting in that bed and just not being able to move out of certain positions. Like it was so strange. It was such a strange feeling. But anyway, worst sleep of my life because A, she had to come and wake me up all the time, like trying to fix this monitor. B, the blood pressure machine that they had me on went off every 30 minutes or an hour, I can't remember. But if it couldn't get a proper read, because of maybe the way my arm was positioned or the way the cable was positioned, it wouldn't work, and then it would like set another alarm off. So I would have to like, I figured out how to like adjust the thing to make it work so that it would take my blood pressure. So dealing with the blood pressure machine going off every 30 minutes or an hour, I can't remember the frequency it was set at, but it went off a lot. The alarms on that went off so much. So it was, this is awful sleep. Eventually 7 a.m. rolled around, and Megan was back, and they were doing shift change, you know, blotting off all the information about where I was at, how things were going, what's going on, you know, from the night nurse to the morning nurse. The doctor had changed, the on-call doctor. So originally I had Dr. Zhao. Dr. Zhao was the doctor who was on call when I was admitted. And that's funny because she was the doctor that I actually was hoping would be there when I delivered my baby. So I was really excited. I was like, oh my god, like Dr. Zhao's here. Like when we first came in, like, oh my, Dr. Zhao's here. Like everything's like going perfectly, right? And then I asked out of curiosity, like sometime during the day, the previous day, like I was like, but like who's on call next after Dr. Zhao? Like when is her shift in? Like who's on call after her? And they were like, oh, it's Dr. Shin. And Dr. Shin, if you've watched my vlogs, he's the doctor that I was kind of beefing with in the last couple of weeks of my pregnancy. And so I was like, damn, I don't want him to be here because he's gonna give me trouble. He's gonna give me push. He's gonna be the most pushback on like things that I want to do and how I want to do it, right? So in walks Dr. Shin. Well, 7 a.m. comes. They trade me off, and I hear that when they're spouting off the information, I finally get to find out how far I was dilated. So like I said, I came in at 2 centimeters that morning at midnight or whatever it was, whenever that last exam I had was. before going to bed that night, I was still at 2 or 3. So all day long, I had not progressed at all sitting in the hospital. So when I heard that, I was like, that's why they never said how far it was. They didn't want me to get discouraged. But yeah, so come find out 7 a.m. that I had not dilated at all. And then did they give me an exam that morning? I think they gave me an exam that morning to see, you know, how far along I'd progressed through the night. And I didn't. I was still sitting in the same place we were before. So yeah, so all through the night, nothing happened. So they're like, girl, like, I'm like, can I get like a change of position? Like, can I get something like upright, you know, help gravity, help maybe drop baby down? Like, so they changed the chair, like the bed, into like a chair, like sitting position. So I was sitting up in there for about an hour, I think. And then like around like 8 o'clock, I think, is when Dr. Shin came in and was like, girl, we gotta start you on Pitocin. And I was like, can we wait? I don't want to. Like I said, I really wanted like the least amount of like chemicals and medicines going through my body like as possible, like. And so they're like, I don't think that's a good idea. Like, your water's been broken for over 24 hours now. Like, you're putting you and your baby at risk for like infection, which kind of doesn't make sense because they had me on antibiotics the entire time from the moment I got there. So I'm like, if y'all got antibiotic drip going on me, like, how am I gonna have an infection? But whatever. Anyway, so I was like, I was just really nervous about it because especially like I read like so many like people on like Reddit and everything. They're like, oh my god, Pitocin was terrible. Like, it hurts so bad. Like, da 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 da. But then I was like, oh wait, I have an epidural now at this point, so I guess it doesn't matter. If I was still like going naturally and they started me on Pitocin, I probably would be having a very bad time. But I realized, I was like, oh wait a minute, I have an epidural, so even if the Pitocin does intensify my contractions and everything, like, I literally can't feel them. So okay, get the Pitocin started. And so yeah, so they were basically like, girl, like, you need to get this Pitocin, like, we had to get this started, or we're looking at like, you know, at this point it's like we stop waiting around, like. So I agreed to the Pitocin and they put it on the lowest setting, like 1 or 2 or something, I don't know, whatever the lowest dosage is. And within like an hour, I had dilated to like a 6 or a 7. And they were like, oh, okay. And so Megan, she did a cervical exam for me. And that's when she was like, oh, we're at like a 6 or a 7 now. And I was like, cool. And she came and she had Katrina come and double check. She's like, I need you to come double check this to see if you agree with me. And then they were like, yeah, that's a 6 or a 7. That's like, yeah, it's 7, yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then after Megan did that, I was sitting up in the chair for a bit, and I went to like try to like adjust myself, and then I like shit my pants. Well, I guess it wasn't my pants because I wasn't wearing any. So I just shot in the bed. It just came out. It just liquid poo. I was like, Kyle had to go get the nurse. She's like, she had a little accident. I was like, it's not a little accident. Don't downplay it. It's a big accident. And the guy was like, she pooped herself. And so they were like, oh, don't worry, that's okay. So poor Megan had to come and clean me up, roll me over, and wipe my butt for me, and clean the bedding or whatever. So I was like, sorry. And then I was just like, oh, sorry, you know, like, whatever, that exam just loosened things up for me, I guess. And then fast forward maybe a little bit later, they were like, oh, you know, if you feel like you start feeling like a sensation that like you need to poop, like, let us know, because that means like you're probably ready to like start pushing or whatever. Like, if you feel like a lot of pressure, like, you know, like in your butt, or like you're, you know, just like you start feeling like much pressure. So I think at some point I was starting to feel some pressure. I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm feeling like, I don't know, things might be like a little, you know, a little spicy, you know, not too long later. And just had it been like, yeah, shortly, not that much longer after they were like, oh, you're at a 6 or 7, like, you know. And so they came to check me again, and when she was checking me this time, she was in there and I literally like started farting, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And then like the farts like started turning into poo, and so I'm just like just crapping as she's digging around. I'm like, I'm so sorry. It's like shitting on her hand. Like, I mean, obviously it wasn't in her hand because her hand was in my cooch, not my butt, but like, I'm just like, I'm so sorry. She had to clean me up again. And they were like, yeah, all right, we need to call the doctor. Like, it's getting spicy. So they like had me propped up and started getting me prepared to like push baby out because it was pushing time. And which was kind of crazy. I was just kind of like, oh shoot, like this is about to happen, cool. I was pretty chill about it. At this point I think I was kind of just in disbelief, like, oh my god, like I'm gonna meet my baby soon. And I hired a doula, and unfortunately she was not able to be with me. She had to go out of town and that weekend, and she messaged me on, I want to say she messaged me on Thursday and was like, I gotta go out of town, tell baby to stay until Monday. And I was like, I'll try my best. So I mean, technically he did what we asked him. We asked him to stay until Monday. He stayed until Monday. So she came, she literally was coming in, she arrived back in town, like she arrived back in town that night, or the night before, like on Sunday night. And like I didn't, like nothing was going on. I got an epidural, like we were going to bed, and I was like, just like go home, rest, you know, if anything pops off in the middle of the night or whatever, like we'll call you, but until then, like just like go home and rest. Like there's no need for you to come in, nothing's happening right now. Fast forward to the morning when we got up, I again was just like, yeah, nothing's really happening. Like probably gonna I did take a nap. I did take a nap in the morning, and I was like, I'm gonna take a little nappy nap, and you know, I'll message you later, like if things pop off, like things get spicy, then you can come then, because again, I don't want you to come into the hospital just watch me take a nap, you know. So anyway, when they were like, oh, you're like a 6 or a 7, that's when I hit her up, and I was like, oh, like things are getting a little spicy, you might want to like, I don't know if you want to head over this way. And yeah, she literally made it in time. Like as my feet were up, propped up, they had the spotlights on, like the doctor was souping up, like she literally made it in like right as I was about to start like pushing and stuff. So she made it at the very last minute. So she was there. And yeah, so I think I pushed for probably maybe 30 minutes. If even that long. I don't even know if it was even that long. I don't think it was very long at all. Kyle said it was probably about 30 minutes. I don't know how long it was. I was just in like my own like little world, like trying my best to push a baby out. And then yeah, he popped out, bloop. And they threw him on my chest. I heard him cry. I cried. I looked at him and I was just like, what the heck? Like, that's crazy. It was such a weird moment. Like, I couldn't believe he was here, that it was all over, it was all done. I remember looking at him, and like when he first came out, I was like, he looks Asian, that means he looks like me. Oh, I swear, like me and my siblings, like when we were first born, like we looked like little Asian babies. And so I was like, that means he looks like me. It's kind of like obviously been fighting the entire pregnancy about who he was gonna look like. Yeah, he came out with all this hair. Even the doctor, like when he was like in my cooch, the doctor could see his head and everything. Like in between like contractions and stuff, he was like, oh, he has so much hair, he has so much hair. Like I want to just braid it while we're waiting for him. Or like, he's like, oh, I can just probably twirl it and just like pull him out by his hair. He has so much hair. So yeah, so my baby got bundles. Yeah, we got him out and we did it, you know, the whole skin to skin and everything, and he latched immediately. Like his very first latch was like perfect. Literally have not had a perfect latch since that latch. Like he latched perfectly the very first time for like breastfeeding. And yeah, he was just like the perfect little baby. He still is the perfect little baby, not was. He is. Oh. But yeah, after we did the whole skin to skin, we had the whole golden hour. It was actually, I think, like 2 hours maybe. They came and grabbed him and took his weight and everything and did all the stuff they needed to do, gave him his shots and stuff. I went to, my doula helped me go shower and clean up and everything. And then we switched rooms. We switched over to the recovery room or postpartum room. I don't know what it's called. And I ordered some food. And I made phone calls and told everybody that baby was here. Because I did not inform anybody that I went into labor. Nobody knew I was giving birth except, well, Kyle told his mom and like some of his family members, which he regretted because the reason I didn't want to tell anybody is because I didn't want to have to deal with like people asking for updates or like, oh, how's it going? How you feeling? Da da da. Is he here yet? I didn't want to deal with any of that. I wanted to just focus on my labor, and so I didn't tell anyone I was going into labor, and so that way I could have no distractions. So yeah, Kyle had told a couple people, and apparently they were asking for updates and whatnot. So I was like, that's why I said we want you to do not tell nobody. But anyway, I did phone calls to let everybody know. I was like running on adrenaline at this point because I was hyped. Like you could not tell I just had a baby. I was like, I was moving, I was grooving, I was walking, I was yapping, I was hyped. And then probably after like 2 hours maybe, I think that's when like the adrenaline wore off. And I was like, oh, I'm in pain. I'm hurting. And all that energy, all that hype with that had definitely subsided. But for the most part, it was chill after that. Yeah, we got discharged the next day. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much my labor story. Yeah, everything did not go according to plan, but my main goals were to not end up to not die, to deliver a healthy baby, and to not end up in an emergency C-section. These were my 3 main goals, and those 3 main goals were met. How we got there did not exactly go how I wanted it to go, but in the end we got there. So it was a successful birth story, but successful birthing experience for the most part. One thing I really hated was the cervical exams that I was given. That's my only complaint. Everything else though was perfect. So yeah, and then I got these little bubbies. His face is red from being on my chest. my little Caucasian baby. He's so pale. Say hi, Bobby. He's knocked out. But yes, anyway, thanks for listening to me yap. Hope you all have a great, amazing morning, afternoon, night, whatever it is for you in your part of the world when you watch this. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.